What's going on, you guys? So, a couple of days ago, Matrix Games announced the first DLC for Panzer Core 2. I'm kind of psyched on it because this one is covering, it looks like Axis operations. So, let's look into it and see what it's all about. So, when Panzer Core 2 launched in May, we saw a very good critical response. We were joined by many thousands of players, all eager to fire up the Panzers and dive into the classic World War II gameplay on a beautiful new game engine. With that launch, there was also an offer of a Field Marshal edition of the game that included the first two DLCs that will be coming to Panzer Corps 2. Now we're finally ready to reveal the details of the first two Panzer Corps 2's exciting post-launch editions. We're calling them the new Axis Operations campaigns. Ooh, okay, interesting. Ever since Panzer Corps 2 was announced, a new grand campaign was by far the most frequent request which we heard from our players. It was hardly surprising because the grand campaign was the most popular series of DLCs for the original game. We always listen to wishes of our community and give things such priority. Axis Operations is our response to all the people who wish for the creation of a new grand campaign. Simply put, it will be a series of campaigns that can be linked together to form one giant, potentially 100 plus behemoth of a campaign. The Renmark campaign in Panzer Corps 2 is a good introductory campaign which many players have enjoyed and learned the basics of Panzer Corps 2 gameplay in the process. But it was not without problems. Some issues with you, the community raised were missing mission debriefings, degrees of victory, historical heroes, and the need for more varied objectives. In general, some players felt that the campaign did not offer enough storytelling immersion in historical events. Axis Operations will address all these issues. There will be more storytelling and interesting characters in these campaigns. There will also be a lot of innovation in terms of gameplay features, mission design, bonus objectives, and rewards for fulfilling them, and more. The AI won't remain the same either, so be prepared for some nasty surprises from your computer opponent. The original Panzer Corps Grand Campaign stretched from 1939 to 1945, covering a whopping 144 scenarios. Our aim is to do bigger, wow, and better for the new Axis operations. Even though Panzer Corps DLCs cover a lot of historical ground, we still visit lots of places never explored before, and battles which you never fought in the past. Find it hard to believe? Read on. The first two DLCs included with the Field Marshal edition of Panzer Corps 2 represent the first two links of the Axis operations chain. Ooh, nice. That's interesting. Ooh, Spanish Civil War. Oh, wow, that's going to be very interesting. Oh, wow. For starters, we aren't going to begin in Poland this time. We're turning the clock back a bit further. And the first campaign of the Axis operations takes the player to the prelude to World War II, the Spanish Civil War, which will be releasing on July the 16th. Oh, wow. That's around the corner. Wow. The campaign will give players the opportunity to experience content that not even the original Panzer Corps, with its extensive library of DLCs and expansion packs, managed to cover. In Spanish Civil War, you take command of the Condor Legion, and in line with the Grand Campaign traditions, you'll be able to transfer your veterans, hardened by 3 years of fighting in Spain, to the next campaigns. Wow, that's pretty awesome. Wow. A unique and innovative feature of the Spanish Civil War campaign is how you will communicate and coordinate with your AI-controlled allies. National Spanish troops are not under your direct control, but you will still be able to issue high-level orders to your allies like attack, defend, and hold ground, so that their actions better match your own strategy. This creates a completely new experience never seen before in a Panzer Corps campaign. We can't wait to hear your feedback about this new way of playing. That's going to be really interesting. And we got our first juicy screenshot here. Wow, nice. Real nice. Got another one here. I really love the graphics and textures in this game, the whole art style. So much so that I actually got a new computer with a much better GPU so I can actually, increase the graphics a bit. Ooh, nice. All right. The next part of our future content plans will release on August 27th, and it will be Axis Operations 1939. But once again, we're still not quite in Poland yet. Axis Operations 1939 starts in March of 1939, which I'm sure history buffs will recognize as the important date when Germany marched into Czechoslovakia. Ooh, wow, I like this. I smell a whole number of what-if scenarios coming down the pike with that. That scenario, by the way, has some very unusual mechanics attached to it. If you ever wondered why they call them Panzer 35 and the Panzer 38, you'll find out here. After that, we're still not quite getting to Poland just yet. Well, something else happened in 1939, a battle that might have actually changed the course of history. There was a French invasion of Germany. We're gonna explore that conflict. Wow, I don't know about that. I gotta look into that. Wow. To compare with the original Grand Campaign, we're already looking at more than 20 battles worth of new content before we even get to the fighting in Poland in 1939. Wow. After 1939 is complete, once again, your core force will be saved so that they will be ready for the next installment of Axis operations. Field Marshal Edition 7 days priority access, as mentioned above. The first two Axis operation campaigns will release on July 16th and August 27th. We do have an extra surprise for all Field Marshal Edition owners, though. All of you who own a Field Marshal Edition will get priority access to the first two Axis operation campaigns a full 7 days before their release dates. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Field Marshal Edition owners will be able to download, install, and play Spanish Civil War on July 9th and 1939 on August 20th. That's awesome. More information on both DLCs will be available in the future with a complete description, scenarios list, details on new units, and new screenshots. Wow. Okay. So, initial impressions, I am I'm impressed. So I never thought they would actually go back and include the Spanish Civil War and start Panzer Corps 2 earlier than actual World War II. So that's pretty awesome. And I love that you can have your troops fight in that front and then have them transition over to the actual beginning of World War II. Not even beginning of World War II, the invasion of Czechoslovakia. So that's pretty awesome. I really like that. So, and there's also new mechanic where you're going to be able to issue high-level orders to your allies like attack, defend, and hold ground. I'm very interested to see how that works. I can't wait to get a look at that. So that's going to be really awesome. So I also mentioned I did an interview with the game director of Panzer Corps 2, and he mentioned in that podcast, and I'll link that in the description below, that in the future there's going to be this game is going to expand, not only to include just the European theater, but also the Pacific theater. He was looking at plans to incorporate like a Pacific War DLC. So down the line, we will see something like that, which is really exciting because he was mentioning all the mechanics that would make a Pacific War DLC work is already embedded into the game. It can work in this new engine that they created. So that's awesome. And so basically, Panzer Corps 2 is going to be basically everything about World War II. It's going to include the Pacific theater, the European theater, and you never know. I mean, they might just kind of put out DLCs for for conflicts that we might have not covered in previous World War II games. Maybe like the Japanese-Chinese War. That'll be a really interesting DLC. So, and I'm also interested. I'm also really excited to see what the player base is going to come out with in terms of mods and new maps and such. So, it's a very very exciting time to to be a game strategist. To actually get your hands on this game, which is awesome. All right, guys, catch you next one.